Hi students, today I am going to start Alexander Pope. He was a great genius. And if we talk about the intellectual greatness of Pope, perhaps the most correct appraisement has come from the mighty pens of Dr. Samuel Johnson. And what he has said about Pope, that of his intellectual character, the constituent and the fundamental principle was good sense, a prompt and intuitive perception of consonance and propriety. He saw immediately of his own conceptions what was to be chosen and what to be rejected, and in the works of others what was to be shunned and what was to be copied. So such was the quote which was written by the mighty pen of Dr. Samuel Johnson on the intellectual greatness, on the appraisement of Alexander Pope. So students, this is in fact true that Pope is a great poet, a great satirist, a great critic, and even a prose writer, along with a lot of wit in his personality, in his writing. And as a genius, as a man of letters, he was versatile and even unique. Only a very few literary artists of England can be deemed as his equals. That Pope was actually a genius is proved beyond doubt by the tremendous influence that he has exerted on his future coming generations. No other Englishman of letters of genius, except possibly Chaucer, Godfrey Chaucer, has left a greater influence on his own generation and on those succeeding generations as well. Of course, Pope's quality as a poet is doubted by certain critics only, and they question, is Pope a poet? Question mark. Is Pope a poet? And this is a question raised in every ages by those critics who have actually failed to perceive the truth as well as the beauty of Pope's poetry. To the question which I have just asked, which the critics have been asking, is Pope a poet? Dr. Johnson gives the most pointed reply. And what is that reply, students? If Pope be not a poet, where is poetry to be found? This quote and unquote can be used in your answers as well. Again, I am repeating. People ask about Pope, is Pope a poet? Then who has given the most pointed reply? Dr. Samuel Johnson. And what is that reply, students? If Pope be not a poet, if Pope be not a poet, where is poetry to be found? This is Dr. Samuel Johnson's reply to that question which has been asked by the critics, is Pope a poet? So, to circumscribe poetry by definition will only show the narrowness of the definer, though a definition will or shall exclude Pope will not easily be made. And the point of contention about Pope's quality as a poet is most powerfully dispelled by William Hazlitt with his masterly interrogations. And उसमें quote unquote में लिखा है, and shall we cut ourselves off from beauties like this with a theory? Question mark. Shall we shut up our books and seal up our senses to please the dull spite and inordinate vanity of those who have eyes, but they see not cars, but they hear not and understandings, but they understand not, and go about asking our blind guides whether Pope was poet or not poet. So these are the lines by William Hazlitt. So Pope is undisputedly and certainly a great poet. He is one of the greatest and certainly the most correct of the English poets. Just see the adjective which I have used. The most correct of the English poets. Pope's correctness as a poet, of course, is liable to various controversial opinions also. There may be endless controversies over the exact meaning of this expression, that is correctness. So Pope as a poet is correct, mainly in the sense that he has handled words, he has handled meters, and that too handling words and meters with an incomparable exactness. There is nothing in him which is unnecessary. There is nothing in him which is superfluous. And you will not find a word which can safely be scrapped. So as a matter of fact, students, he presents the artistic world, the artistic work of the Roman grandeur, in which is to be detected nothing unbecoming or nothing which can be said as useless. Apart from that, students, he was a poet of man, he was a poet of society, he was a poet of his time, and the truth of his poetry lies much in the truthful presentation of the social manner, the social custom, the social vanities of his own days. And he may certainly be given the honor of a great sociological poet who flourished long before the modern sociological ideas were all known. So ये बहुत बड़ी बात है. And as a poet, Pope's genius is particularly manifested in his satire. किसमें सबसे ज़्यादा उसका genius दिखता है? His genius can be seen in his satire, जो मैंने आपको शुरू में भी बताया था. He was a great satirist. He is a critic of the ills. वो किस चीज का क्रिटिक है? Of the ills and anomalies of his society. And he possessed a rare skill. He subjects all the vulgar and the vain elements of society to the merciless stroke of his delightful satire. So Pope's satire, however, always is strengthened. इसकी जो satire है वो किस चीज से strengthened हो जाती है? By his wit. So we can say that his wit, जो उसकी wit होती है वो बहुत मजा दिलाती है. His wit delights. His satire whips. And his criticism diagnoses the ailment. बीमारी क्या है? And the malady of his age, जिसको मैंने लिखा है ills and anomalies. Indeed, in Pope's genius is found finely fused and a blend and impressive wit, a ruthless satirist. कैसा satirist? Ruthless satirist and a thoughtful critic. Pope's genius is in no less way manifesting in his employment of. His genius can be seen while he is using his genius is in no less way manifesting in his employment of the heroic couplet. The Drydentic couplet, Dryden से बना है Drydentic couplet, is made more pointed and pleasing by Pope's genius for versification. And A modern critic has rightly indicated his excellence as a versifier and as a master of heroic couplet. Of his poetic form, Pope was undoubtedly a master. He perfected an English meter. He perfected an English meter, the heroic couplet, which for the purpose of the didactic and the satirical poetry has since remained the chosen vehicle of expression in our language. And to his command over his meter, he had attained rapidly, though not at once. And as a writer of prose, if I talk about Pope as a prose writer, as a writer of prose, Pope's genius is even admitted by Matthew Arnold,